All right. Hey, everyone. Ready for another deep dive? Today, we are taking a look at Uipath.
Oh, yeah.
They're pushing pretty hard into this idea of agentic automation. And we have their recent press release announcing their financial results for the fourth quarter and the full year of fiscal 2025. And I got to say, there's a lot to dig into here.
Definitely a lot to unpack. UiPath is making some big waves in automation and AI,
Yeah.
and these results, I think, give us a good look into their strategy, kind of where they're headed in the future.
Okay, so let's just jump right into it. First, the numbers.
Yeah, let's hear them.
$424 million in revenue for the quarter. That's a 5% jump year over year,
Okay.
which, maybe doesn't sound huge at first,
Right.
but in a market like this that's already so established, a 5% growth is actually a pretty big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this shows they're not just kind of riding the wave, they're going out and grabbing market share. And then when you look at the ARR, that's the annual recurring revenue,
Right.
hitting $1.666 billion. That's a 14% jump.
Yeah.
So that paints a really clear picture, I think, of UiPath's momentum.
Yeah. Now, we know everyone's talking about AI these days. Every company's got to be in the AI game. But UiPath seems to be going beyond just, automating tasks. They're talking about creating agents that can make decisions with, barely any human input.
Exactly. That's where this agentic automation comes into play.
Yeah.
It's not just robots doing what they're told, step by step.
Mm.
It's them actually figuring things out, on their own,
Right.
within certain parameters, of course.
Right.
But, you're essentially giving your software a little bit of a brain boost.
Okay. So I'm still trying to wrap my head around this whole thing.
Yeah.
What exactly is agentic automation? How is it different from like the automation that we're already seeing businesses use?
So think of traditional automation as setting up very specific instructions. If this, then that.
Right.
Agentic automation, it takes that further. These agents, they can learn,
Yeah.
they can adapt, and they can make decisions based on the data that they're processing.
Wow.
So you're moving beyond those pre-programmed tasks.
Right.
It's a more dynamic system, much more responsive.
Okay, so we're kind of going from a simple calculator to like a full-blown computer.
Yeah.
And it seems like UiPath is all in on this approach.
Yeah.
In fact, their CEO, Daniel Dines, said in the press release, and I'm quoting here, "Fiscal 2025 was our most innovative year in recent history, introducing a wealth of new AI capabilities and redefining the future of automation through our groundbreaking new products. Autopilot, Agent Builder, Agentic Orchestration, and Agentic Testing."
It's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot there. But it highlights, I think, the key pieces of UiPath's agentic puzzle, right?
Right.
Each of these products, they play a very important role in building and managing these AI agents.
All right, so let's try to break these down a bit. First up, Autopilot.
Yeah.
If I understand it correctly, it helps users create these AI-powered workflows.
Exactly. Think of it as a very streamlined way to set up the tasks, the goals that you want your agent to tackle. It takes away a lot of that complexity, so even people who aren't, super technical can build these automations.
Got it.
It makes it a lot easier.
And then there's Agent Builder. That one seems pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Build your agent.
Build your agents, yeah. But it gives you the tools to really customize these agents to meet very specific needs. So let's say you're in healthcare and you need an agent to help with patient intake.
Okay.
You can tailor it, give it specific workflows, data points that are, important to that process.
Okay, starting to get the picture. So we have Autopilot to set things up, Agent Builder to customize them, and then there's Agentic Orchestration. Now that one sounds a little more complex. What's that all about?
So think of an orchestra. Each musician's playing their part, but they need someone to, conduct,
Right.
make sure everything's working in harmony. Agentic orchestration does that for your agents.
Yeah.
It manages the communication between them.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sure that they're working together seamlessly and they're not, bumping into each other.
So like an air traffic control, but for your AI agents.
Exactly.
Making sure everything runs smoothly.
Runs smoothly. And then lastly, we have agentic testing, which is all about making sure your agents are performing the way they should.
Right.
Catching any errors, any biases, before they become a real problem.
Right, because we don't want our AI agents going rogue on us. It's too
Exactly.
bad. So robust testing is important.
Absolutely. And UiPath's clearly investing in making sure that those safeguards are built into their platform.
So it sounds like UiPath is creating this whole ecosystem around agentic AI
Yeah,
with all these tools to build, manage, test these agents. But they didn't stop there. They went out and bought a company called Peak AI.
they did.
Now, that acquisition's interesting because Peak AI specializes in something called decision intelligence, right?
Yeah.
They've been doing some really fascinating work, I think, in retail and manufacturing.
Yeah, helping companies figure out things like inventory management
Right.
or pricing, using AI.
Ah.
It's pretty cool stuff.
So we've got UiPath with their platform for building these agents, and
Yeah.
then Peak AI with their expertise in using AI to, make smart decisions.
Mhm.
What does this acquisition tell us about UiPath's strategy here?
I think it signals a couple of things. First, UiPath isn't just interested in the cool technology.
Right.
They want to deliver, actual business outcomes.
Right.
Peak AI has a proven track record
Mm-hmm.
of using AI to solve real problems for companies. So it strengthens UiPath's value.
So it's not automation just for the sake of automation.
Exactly. It's about using AI to
Yeah.
make businesses smarter, more efficient.
Right. And second, it shows UiPath is thinking strategically about getting into specific industries.
Yeah.
Retail and manufacturing are they're ready for disruption
Yeah.
with agentic AI, and by bringing peak AI in, they're kind of setting themselves up to be a leader in those
Yeah,
sectors.
they're positioning themselves well.
So they're building the platform, they're buying expertise, and they're going after key industries. It sounds like they're playing chess, not checkers.
Definitely. And their 2025 Agentic AI report really highlights that.
Yeah.
They found that 90% of IT executives that they surveyed said they think their business processes could be improved by using agentic AI.
Mm.
It's a big number.
That is a huge number. I mean, 90%, that's a bold statement.
It is.
What do you make of that statistic? Is that just hype? Or is there something real there?
I think it shows a growing understanding that traditional automation, just doing things the old way,
Hmm.
it has its limits.
Right.
Businesses today, they're facing really complex problems.
Yeah.
And they need more than just rule-based systems.
Right.
They need AI that can adapt, that can learn,
Mm-hmm.
and they can make good decisions even when things change really quickly.
Right.
And that's where agentic AI comes in.
So businesses are hitting a wall, and agentic AI is offering a way to break through it.
Yeah, I like that analogy.
And UiPath is right there, ready to hand them the sledgehammer.
Exactly.
All right, so we've covered a lot already. We've talked
Great.
about UiPath's impressive financial results.
Right.
Their focus on agentic automation, the big products that are kind of driving their strategy, and this really interesting acquisition of Peak AI.
It's a smart move.
But we're just getting started.
We're just scratching the surface.
There's so much more to talk about in terms of how UiPath is building this whole ecosystem. What are the pluses and minuses of agentic AI?
Definitely.
And what does this all mean for the future of work?
Big questions.
Big questions. So let's keep going.
All right, let's dive in. It's fascinating. 90% of IT execs are buying into this potential of agentic AI. But it makes you wonder, what does that look like in practice?
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about these agents in a pretty abstract way,
Right.
but I'm kind of curious about like how they're actually being used out there in the real world.
Yeah.
Can you give us some examples?
Sure. So let's take healthcare, for example. Uipath,
Yeah.
just recently, they showcased their agentic automation solutions at a big healthcare technology conference.
Oh, cool.
And one of the key things they highlighted was using AI agents to streamline operations and improve patient care.
Okay.
So imagine an agent, right, that handles all those administrative tasks, like
Mhm.
scheduling appointments, processing insurance claims, even managing patient records. That frees up doctors and nurses to, actually spend more time with their patients.
Yeah, that's huge, especially with the staffing shortages that we're seeing in healthcare right now.
Yeah.
So you're saying an AI agent could like help reduce some of those burdens
Exactly.
and let healthcare workers, focus on what they do best.
Exactly. And it's not just healthcare. UiPaths, they're making inroads in a bunch of different industries.
Yeah.
So retail, for instance,
Yeah.
AI agents can really personalize that shopping experience.
Okay.
They can offer recommendations that are tailored to you,
Oh, wow.
even help with inventory management.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine walking into a store where the AI already knows what you like
Right.
and can just guide you to exactly what you're looking for.
That's the future I want to live in. No more like wandering around a store aimlessly trying to find, the one specific thing I need that's buried somewhere in the back.
Exactly.
What about manufacturing? I mean, how can you apply these agents there?
Oh, manufacturing is a perfect example, right?
Okay.
Where agentic AI can really shine. So think about, optimizing those production processes, predicting when equipment might fail,
Mm-hmm.
improving efficiency overall.
Right.
You could have AI agents that are watching every aspect of that production line.
Wow.
They could be identifying any bottlenecks,
Right.
even adjusting workflows in real time
Wow.
to make sure everything's running smoothly.
So it's like having like an army of tiny supervisors, but invisible.
Yeah,
Just making sure that everything is running at peak performance.
that's a great way to put it.
I like that.
And all of this ties back to what we were talking about, Uipath's strategy of building this comprehensive agentic ecosystem.
Right.
It's not just the technology itself, right?
Right.
It's creating that framework where these AI agents can seamlessly integrate into, systems that are already in place,
Right.
work alongside humans
Right.
to achieve, these common goals.
You said working alongside humans, and that kind of brings up a question that I think is on a lot of people's minds right now.
Yeah.
Is all this like gonna lead to robots taking our jobs?
Yeah, it's a valid concern, right?
Yep.
But I think we need to look at it more as like a collaboration, not a competition.
Right.
Agentic AI isn't about replacing humans, right?
Okay.
It's more about giving them like a boost,
Yeah.
augmenting their capabilities.
Okay, so instead of it being like robots versus humans, we should be thinking about robots and humans working together.
Working together, yeah.
Okay.
Think about it like this, freeing up humans from those really tedious tasks,
Yeah.
those repetitive things that, can lead to burnout,
Right.
frustration, and letting them focus on things that are more creative, more strategic,
Right.
more fulfilling.
Yeah, that's a much more positive way of looking at
Yes.
it. But I'm still curious about those ethical considerations that we touched on a little bit earlier. I mean, how do we know that these agents are going to be used responsibly
Yeah.
and that they're not going to, just kind of repeat existing biases that we already have?
That's where, responsible development and deployment comes in.
Right.
It's really important for companies like UiPath,
Mm-hmm.
but also, policymakers, industry leaders,
Right.
to come up with some clear guidelines and best practices for how these agents are built and used.
Okay.
So transparency is important,
Yeah.
accountability,
Mm-hmm.
ongoing monitoring, those are all key.
So it's not just about building the coolest, flashiest tech. It's about building it the right way.
Yeah.
That benefits everyone, doesn't
Sure.
create these unintended consequences.
And it's not something that one company can solve
Right.
or one organization.
Yeah.
It really requires everyone to, make an effort to make sure we're developing and using this technology ethically,
Yeah.
fairly, and in a way that's sustainable.
Right.
So big picture stuff.
Okay. So a lot of responsibility comes with this power.
Definitely.
But let's shift gears a little bit and talk about how UiPath is actually bringing this vision to life. We talked about the peak AI acquisition,
Right.
but what else are they doing to, build this agentic ecosystem?
Well, they've been busy. They've launched a whole set of agentic testing solutions, to make sure these agents are performing like they're supposed to.
Okay.
And they've deepened their partnership with Deloitte
Oh, okay.
to launch this agentic ERP solution.
Yeah.
It's targeting those really complex enterprise resource planning systems that businesses use.
Okay.
So pretty important stuff.
So they're not just like building the tech, they're making sure it's actually like implemented correctly.
Exactly. Working with the right partners
Right.
to get it out there. And they're not just focused on the corporate world either.
Oh, okay.
They've partnered with the United Arab Emirates AI office
Wow.
to develop AI-powered automation solutions
Right.
and to help, train people in the UAE with AI skills.
Oh, that's great.
So it's a really good example of how they're thinking about, the broader societal impact of this technology
Mm,
and investing in education,
right.
workforce development.
Yeah, it's good to hear that they're, taking a more holistic approach.
Yeah.
It's not just the tech, it's the human element as well.
Absolutely. And they're not slowing down. They just opened an AI innovation hub in London,
Wow, really?
working with partners like Microsoft, SAP, AWS, some of the biggest names
Yeah.
to push the boundaries of AI research and development.
So they're collaborating with with some of the best out there
They are.
to really accelerate innovation in the AI space.
That's right.
It sounds like they're really trying to like position themselves as a leader in this agentic AI movement.
Yeah, they're making all the right moves.
Yeah.
They're investing in R&D,
Mm-hmm.
they're building these strategic partnerships,
Right.
and they're focusing on those real-world applications,
Yeah.
showing the value of the technology.
Okay, so we've talked about the what, we've talked about the how,
Hmm.
but now I want to get to the why. Why is this all so important?
Yeah,
I mean, what are the potential benefits of this technology?
right.
And what kind of future is UiPath envisioning?
That's the big question. And I think to really answer it, we we need to zoom out a little bit.
Okay.
We're living in a world that's, becoming more and more complex,
Right.
more interconnected.
Yeah.
And businesses are facing some really unprecedented challenges, like global pandemics,
Right.
supply chain disruptions,
Yeah.
new technology coming out all the time.
Hmm.
Customer expectations are changing.
It feels like the world's spinning faster and faster,
Yeah.
and it's hard to like keep up.
And the old ways of doing things just don't work anymore.
Right.
We need new tools, new approaches to navigate all this.
Yeah.
And that's where agentic AI comes in.
So it's about giving businesses the tools they need to not just survive, but to actually thrive in all this change.
Exactly. Agentic AI has this potential to totally transform how we work.
Right.
Businesses could be more efficient,
Yeah.
more adaptable,
Mm-hmm.
more resilient.
Right.
It can free us from all those mundane tasks that we're doing.
Yeah.
Let us focus on the things that, really require, that human touch,
Right.
like creativity, critical thinking, emotional intelligence.
So it's not just about automation for the sake of it. It's
Right.
about using AI to
Right.
actually like unlock human potential
Yeah, that's a good way to put
and
it.
solve those problems that we couldn't before.
That's the vision that UiPath is laying out.
Yeah.
A future where humans and AI work together,
Right.
side by side, each kind of boosting the other's strengths
Yeah.
to create a better world.
It's a pretty compelling vision. But we've also talked about, those potential downsides,
Right.
the ethical questions, the need for responsible development. How does UiPath address those things?
Well, they know this technology comes with a lot of responsibility,
Yeah.
and they've said, they're committed to building ethical and trustworthy AI.
Okay.
So they've put measures in place to make sure that the platform is secure, that
Mhm.
it's accurate,
Right.
that it's resilient.
Right.
And they're actively involved in discussions, about how to develop AI responsibly and how to deploy it in the right way.
So they're not just ignoring the potential problems. They're trying to figure out how to get ahead of them.
Exactly. They understand that for this technology to be successful, people have to trust it,
Right.
and they have to address these concerns.
Okay, so a lot to be optimistic about, but there are some real challenges.
Yeah.
And it sounds like UiPath is trying to find that balance. They are.
Acknowledging the good and the bad.
Yeah.
And it's good that they're not shying away from those tough conversations.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're really trying to shape this future of agentic AI in a way that works for everyone.
Yeah.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We talked about UiPath's financials, their acquisitions, their vision for the future of work, how they're promoting this responsible AI development. But there's one thing we haven't talked about yet, the financial outlook.
Right.
What does UiPath expect for the coming year?
Well, it's interesting. With all this excitement around the technology
Yeah.
and the strong performance they've had,
Yeah.
they're not ignoring what's happening in the economy.
Right.
Their CFO did mention that, there's increasing global macroeconomic uncertainty,
Yeah.
particularly affecting the U.S. public sector.
Okay, so there are some headwinds out there.
Yeah.
How is that reflected in their outlook? So they're projecting revenue of $330 to $335 million
Yeah.
for the first quarter of fiscal 2026.
Okay.
And ARR should be between $1.686 billion and $1.691 billion. For the whole year, they're looking at revenue between $1.525 and $1.530 billion, with ARR projected to be 1.816 to 1.821 billion.
Those are some pretty big numbers.
They are.
Given all of the uncertainty, are they being too optimistic or are these projections like realistic?
It's tough to say.
Yeah.
I mean, they're definitely ambitious.
Yeah.
But considering their track record, the market share they're gaining and the increasing demand for this kind of technology.
Right.
It's not completely out there.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see.
We'll see how they handle those economic challenges.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how those macroeconomic factors play out. It's possible that all this uncertainty could actually make automation even more popular
Oh, interesting.
because businesses will be looking to cut costs
Right.
and become more efficient.
Right.
So it could actually help Uipath.
Yeah, necessity is the mother of invention, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe this economic pressure will actually make people adopt agentic AI even faster.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's definitely something to think about.
Okay, so a lot to watch. We've got a company with a big vision, some really innovative technology, a good track record,
Yeah.
but they've also got some external challenges
Right.
that could slow them down.
Yeah, it's a complicated situation.
It is.
It'll be really interesting to see how it all unfolds.
Well, this has been a great deep dive.
It has.
I've learned a lot, and I'm sure our listeners have too.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Uipath is definitely a company to watch.
Yeah.
This whole field of agentic AI is, it's full of possibility,
Right.
but also a lot of challenges.
We've talked about the potential benefits, those ethical concerns,
Mm-hmm.
the real-world applications, the strategic moves UiPath is making. But there's one question that I keep coming back to. We've talked about so much, the technology, the financials, how this could change different industries, but I keep thinking about that 90% number.
Yeah.
90% of IT execs think agentic AI can make their businesses better.
Right.
But what does that actually mean for, the average person? What does that world look like?
Yeah, that's the big question, right?
Yeah.
It's easy to get excited about new tech and all the possibilities.
Yeah.
But we got to think about the human side of things.
Right, because if these AI agents are going to be everywhere, like UiPath says,
Yeah.
it's not just about companies being more efficient, it's about how we all live and work.
Right.
So what are, some of the biggest changes we might see?
Well, one of the first things we'll probably see is a change in the job market.
Okay.
Some jobs, especially those with a lot of repetitive tasks,
Right?
those might get automated.
Right.
But what if, instead of worrying about jobs going away, we thought about the new jobs this could create?
Okay, I like that. How would that work?
Well, as AI takes over those boring tasks,
Yeah.
it frees us up to do things that humans are really good at.
Okay.
Things like creativity, solving tough problems, using our emotional intelligence.
Right.
And that could lead to whole new types of jobs that we haven't even thought of yet.
So it's not like mass unemployment.
Right.
It's more like the types of jobs that are in demand are going to change.
Exactly.
It's almost like AI is pushing us to be more valuable.
Yeah, I like that. It's pushing us further up the ladder.
Right.
Imagine, instead of spending hours on data entry, you're teaching AI agents, designing how they interact with us, or working with AI on creative projects.
Yeah.
That sounds a lot more interesting, right?
It does. It sounds a lot better than my inbox right now, right?
Exactly.
But, let's be realistic. This kind of change, this big shift,
Yeah.
it's going to come with some downsides too. We can't just pretend that people won't lose jobs or that economic inequality won't be a problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can't just blindly accept technology without thinking about what could go wrong.
Right.
That's why it's so important to develop and use AI responsibly.
Yeah.
We need to make sure everyone benefits, not just a small group of people.
So it's not just on companies like UiPath, right?
Right.
It's on governments, policymakers, all of us, really,
Yeah, everyone.
to have these conversations and figure out what kind of future we want.
It's a team effort.
It is. Well, this has been a really insightful deep dive.
It has.
I think the main thing for our listeners to remember is that agentic AI, this isn't science fiction.
Right.
It's happening now.
It is.
And UiPath is leading the way.
They are. They're really pushing the limits of what's possible.
They are.
Yeah.
But as we've talked about, when technology changes this fast, we got to make sure we're developing it responsibly
Absolutely.
and thinking about how it affects everyone. So as we wrap up, what's the one thing you really want our listeners to take away from this?
Don't just sit back and watch this happen.
Right.
Get involved. Ask questions. Really think about how this tech will impact your work, your life, your industry.
Yeah.
The future's being shaped right now,
Yeah.
and we all have a part to play.
I love that. And for those who want to learn more about UiPath and what they're doing,
Yeah,
make sure to check out their website. We'll put a link in the show notes.
it's worth a look.
It is. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll be back soon with another episode looking at the latest trends and breakthroughs.
Sounds good.
Until then, stay curious.